Whew. Good morning, beautiful people of the world. Good morning. I'm so fucking frustrated. Today is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. I'm so frustrated. This fucking garage is giving me the fucking flux. My friend from work came over to try to program the remote. It was working for a minute. He left, stopped working. So I called Lyft, the garage people yesterday, and I said something is going on with my garage. So the man said, sound like to me you got a signal issue. And I was like, okay. I said, because I can't get it to go. I said it was going down. It was going down with the remote and when you inside of the garage. I said, but when you outside of the garage in the alley, I said it still won't lift. And my friend had, I don't know. He had the hardest time programming it. I kept showing him the YouTube video. He kept doing everything different than what the YouTube video was doing. And we finally, I was like, no, click this, click. I'm beyond frustrated. I am beyond frustrated. I am beyond. So anyway, I called Lyft Master because that's who the box is by. So he tells me that, he said, I'm sure you got a signal issue. I said, and I went all on YouTube looking at everything on how to, how to get it, god damn, how to get it, so it'll connect. So then I went back to, I went on YouTube to see how do you have a signal issue. So it said that little thing might be out of the whatever. So anyway, he was acting like, they could come today. I said, I have to work. Would have been nice if I had got it done while I was on vacation, but I didn't. That's what I should have done. So he said, well, we have Saturday appointments. I said, great. He said, I can be there between 8 and noon. I was like, okay. I said, that sounds good to me. So, yeah. So, that'll work. I don't know how much that's gonna cost. I'm gonna call them back today. I'm gonna call the guy back today and ask him. So how much is it for you all to come out? Because I need to know. Because they ain't coming for free. They just ain't coming for free. He was like, make sure you have all your remotes. He said, because I'll program all of them. I said, okay. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I got to get the roof, that little crack in my roof. I didn't get no rain today because there ain't no heavy rain, but I got to get that fixed. So my brother-in-law did do my taxes. And I'm getting back $5,000, which is good. I'm not complaining. But of course, he's charging me $250. I just said, okay. I ain't say nothing before y'all say something. Just like, okay. I just left it at that. I didn't say nothing don't know how many more years I got to be in this house to really see a refund from the house. It ain't like when my sister, I remember my sister, when she had her house, she used to get like $9,000 and $10,000 back. I know a lot of the tax laws have changed. I know they're not the same anymore. And with you know who being in office, who knows? I don't know. And I know some of you are probably saying, oh, CC, that's good. You get that much, you get that much back. Oh, it is, and I'm not complaining. It's just that I want more because I got a lot of stuff to do. I got to see when Christopher's fees are due. But they sent the calendar, but I got to see what fees are due. I'll be so glad when he is out of school. I'm sick of paying this Uber money every day. I'm sick of that. I am sick of that. It's so freaking expensive. Whew. Then my mother, she be complaining. Like yesterday, I went to get him because he stayed for game night or whatever this game thing is. So he stayed. So I went to get him. But she be complaining. She don't want to go get him. I'm like, what do y'all want me to do? I'm only one person. Come on. I'm only one person. I can only do so much. And I'm doing the best that I can. It's a raggedy ass street. I'm doing the best that I can by taking him, And to be honest with you, I was like, some of the money that I get from my income taxes, I want to save it because it's always something that comes up and you want to try to have the money. I want to get back on track with paying the mortgage on time. Everything just got flipped upside down with me being part of that. So hopefully I can do that. I gotta go and I gotta renew my life insurance policy. I want to get a policy on Chris. It's just not enough money, honestly. And I make good money. But it's like, this economy just fucking sucks. It just does. As you go to the grocery store, if you eat out, it's expensive. It's just expensive. Every day I have a headache. I never, ever, ever had a headache like this until I started taking them high blood pressure medicine pills. Now, every day I have a bad headache. I'm going to message her today and tell her that, I'm going to message her today and tell her, and my girlfriend was telling me, come on, damn. You sitting here waiting for Jesus to come back? The light has been turned green. My girlfriend was telling me that I'm not drinking enough water, and I said I'm sure that I'm not. What the fuck is wrong with people today? It's a little rain out here. It ain't even raining. Every day. day I got a bad headache. Every day. I think the dose is just too high. I think I'm on 5. Can't you go lower than 5? I think you go to 2 point something. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna look at my chart and see what the dosage is. But I am gonna message her and tell her, say, this is making me have too many bad headaches. I drank 3 bottles of water yesterday, and I know that's one of the side effects because I looked it up. It's working. And then yesterday, it's some shit going on at work. I'm like, I didn't miss this bullshit. It nothing with me, but with a co-worker and one of our boss. You know, the thing is that it's a lot of racism here, but you know what? And I didn't see the snake ass bitch who called herself, I'm gonna see if I can get that job. I didn't see her. What's your problem with me? I'm saying, because I know what you did with the union, how you called on me. I'm saying every time I'm disappearing, I'm not here, you talking shit about me. What's your problem? I'm saying we ain't got to ever talk or speak. I said I'm fine with that. I said, but what's your problem? What am I doing to bother you? Anywho, I didn't see her yesterday. It's probably a good thing that I didn't see her. And then, and I know some of you all are going to disagree with this. I don't give a fuck if you do. But I'm going to say it anyway. I'm going to say it anyway. Yesterday, I go to pick Christopher up. And we in the alley messing with this goddamn garage. And he says to me, Mama, while I was at the school staying for the after program, he was like, he said, I had my phone on silence. I silenced spam calls. He said, but I got another non-caller ID phone call. So now I'm already irritated with the garage, right? So he's sitting in the alley and I said, what? He said, yeah. So he shows it to me. So I look at it and stuff. And so he said, I think they back to doing this stupid stuff, playing with me on the phone. I said, well, guess what? It's getting ready to end. So I blocked him, but I had his best friend's phone number in my phone. I got it from Chris a while ago, just in case anything happened, or, when him and Chris was hanging out, going downtown or whatever. I said, if I can't reach you, give me Lenard's number. So last night, I unblocked him. Chris ain't friends no more. I said, that's cool. I said, but all this playing on his phone, pranks calling him and all this old dumb shit, and I said it just like that. All this dumb shit that you and your little crew is doing, I said, back off. I said, because the next step is going calling your grandmother up. I said, I will be at your house. And the little motherfucker know I know where he lived because I took him home and picked him up 1 zillion times. I said, I will be at your house. I said, and the next thing I'm going to be at your house with is the police. I said, because you're not going to keep fucking with him. I said, if you don't like him, you don't want to talk to him no more, y'all friendship and broke up, I said, that's okay. I said, that's cool. I said, but what you ain't finna do, you ain't finna keep calling this phone, prank calling him and playing on this phone. I said, I pay this bill. I said, so get you, yes, and you, I said, get your little crew. I said, because you all are immature and you're silly. I said, and I never, ever thought you would do this. I said, I am very disappointed in you. So when I got ready to call, Chris said, no, you don't have to call me. I said, no, too late. Too late. I said, I had stayed out of it. I ain't said shit. I didn't say nothing. I said, they called you 3 times. This is call number 4 or 5. I don't remember. I can't even keep up. I said, and I told him on the phone, I left him a message. And I said, if you got an issue or a problem, I said, you can call me. I told him, I said, I'm disappointed in you. I said, I never thought you would do this to him and act this way, saying you all calling him up, acting like this girl's father is going to do something to him, threatening him, talking about the father going, I said, who does that? You know, I said, enough is enough. Go away. You and your crew. I said, and you can tell your crew I said so. I said, you got my number. They got a problem. They can call me too. I said, but y'all gonna stop fucking with him. And I know some of y'all gonna say, oh, you should stay out of it, whatever. No, I'm not. I'm not. So before you write this comment, think about it before you write the comment. Because I have stayed out of it. But I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Leave people alone. Y'all ain't friends no more. Y'all ain't friends no more. Y'all ain't talking no more. Cool. No problem. Not a problem. Friendships break off all the time. People fall out all the time. People move on all the time. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But leave him the fuck alone. You don't like him? Ain't no problem. But you're not gonna keep calling his phone. So he blocked Leonard, and he blocked Tracy and KK. Got out the group chat. He's in another group chat with some guys in his homeroom class, because they were texting last night. And he was on the phone. I don't think he was on. And this look, the young man who told Chris about them prank phone calling him. I talked to him the other night. He asked Chris, could he talk to me? When I tell you this little boy is mature, he's 18. He works 2 jobs, Burger King and the steel mill. And he has his own apartment and his own car. I don't know why he don't live with his mother or his parents or whatever. I don't know. I didn't ask him. But he's graduating. His birthday was yesterday. He's graduating from high school this June as well. And he called Chris and told Chris that they were all on the phone. Him too. Because he told me. He said, we were all on the phone. He said, and, you know, I figured, like, you know, I thought Lenard and Chris was cool. You know, like, they was like, he said, Lenard said that they were like brothers. He said, and if he do that to him, I know what he'll do to me. He said, and I had to tell him, you know, he said, I had to tell him what, you know, what they was doing or what they had did. And I told him, I said, well, I appreciate you telling them. I said, because we thought it was the young lady, you know, calling him or whatever. Because he said, Trinity is crazy. You know, because the way that they was talking or whatever. Talking about when we gonna crack, when we gonna have sex and this, and that, and the other. Now, you had him call this girl, you know, just a bunch of mess. Immature mess. It's what the fuck it is. Y'all know the deal. Can't get this stupid ass kid. So I just told him, the guy who came to try to fix it, I said, I called him. I said, and I told him, you know, that it wasn't working. And that is what I told him what the guy said. He was like, yeah, he was like, that's weird. I was like, I know. It is very weird. Very, very, very weird. What the hell is this? I shall return. Let me go punch in. Like an obstacle course. My back hurts. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. So sorry. Hopefully I can edit all this crap out. Like I did yesterday. But anywho. So. This is the remote for the garage. That ain't. The guy said, bring all the remotes. Make sure you have all the remotes. He said, I'm going to program all of them. So I might just park on the street tonight. I hate to leave my car out on the street. I really do. I might put it back in the garage. And I might have to just do the same thing. I don't know. But anyway. So I called him up. And I said what I said to him. And, you know, I told him, I said, you know, I'm disappointed in you. I said, because you and Chris, y'all were like brothers. I said, y'all been best of friends for the last 2 years or 3 years or however long it's been. And I said, and I never thought that you would do this to him. I said, because I know he ain't playing with you. You know, and I said, but it's cool. I said, all I'm going to say to you is, at this point, leave him alone. You and your crew back the fuck up. I done had enough. And like I said, I wouldn't have got, when the first prank calls happened, I didn't say nothing. You know, I didn't say nothing. But now you want to just keep calling him? Listen here. We're not finna do this. When my uncle died, he went over to the car and offered my mother his condolences. Now all of a sudden, you and Chris, y'all just fell out. Chris said he only mad because his feelings is hurt because I'm ignoring him. He said, I think that's why he he feeling some type of way. I said, I don't care the fuck how he feeling. He better stop calling that goddamn phone. Or I will go to his house. And I will talk to his grandmother. His grandmother and I are the same age. She might even be a little bit younger than me. But I will have a conversation with her. And he told Chris that him and his grandmother don't have the greatest relationship. Because now his mom died in a car accident. You know, and I've kind of like, you know, when it was Chris' birthday last year and year before last, I told Lenard, I said, whatever you want to eat, we going to the mall, you want something in the mall, you don't have enough money, I said, let me know. I can't remember what he bought. Took him to the mall, we went and got the cinnamon rolls, you know, we did all of that. You know, I said, we went to the stores. I said, you want anything? He was like, no, I'm good. You know, real mannerable. Always been mannerable. Always been nice. Now you got you a little girlfriend. You got you a girlfriend, and now you and Chris, y'all enemies. That quick. Stupid shit. Something that Christopher told her back in freshman year. He didn't even know you. And I guess she told him, yeah, Chris used to like me. He said, but I told him that I used to like her when they first started dating. He said, I told him that. He said, so that's not like it's. He said, that's nothing new. He said, I told him that. I said, and so what? So what? I know guys that like have crushes on guys' wives. I said, so what? I think that's weird that you like your best friend's girlfriend. He said, I told you that I liked her when in our freshman year. He said, I'm not digging on her now. I said, you know what? I told Christopher this. I said, you know what? I said, in my opinion, I said, I think that Lenard is just making up an excuse just for you all not to be friends anymore. And it don't have nothing to do with her. It's got everything to do with him, with his jealousy, with his whatever. I said, cause this is just too weird and too out the blue for me. I said, it ain't got nothing. It don't have anything to do with what you think it does. I said, it really don't have anything to do with her. I said, it has more something to do with him. And he really started acting funny towards Christopher, like right around Christmas time, when he didn't get anything for Christmas. And as most kids do, they be like, what you get, you know, blah, 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 blah. And Chris said, when he told him that he didn't get anything for Christmas, he said, I didn't even tell him all the stuff I got. He said, I just told him that I got those gym shoes that Meadow Shrub bought. He said, I never told him who bought them. I just said I got the Nike gym shoes that I wanted. He said, that's all I told him. He said, I didn't really, you know, I didn't go into no detail about all the other stuff that I got, you know. And then his birthday came up. And last year, my mother bought Lenard a birthday gift and gave it to him. You know, and I was going to buy him like a little sweatshirt or something, you know, something like a Burlington or whatever. But when I kept seeing that they was clashing, I was like, I'm not going to buy him nothing. And I'm glad I didn't. But I took this boy out so many times and took him home. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I'm a little hurt myself because, and when I say I'm hurt, he didn't do anything to me, but it's like he did something to me. Because I see my child is hurt. And he hurt over bullshit. It's not like Christopher walked up to the girl and kissed her in the mouth. It ain't like he did anything to him. And I told Chris, when he was acting funny the first time with him, he told Chris that he was mad at him because he felt like he embarrassed him in front of his girlfriend. I said, that ain't it. I said, that's not it. I said, maybe he think that she like you. I said, because that's not it. And then when I tell you they would stay on the phone for hours, they would play the game. Because, you know, they can, I don't know how they do that, but they play because he does have a PS5 like Chris. They will play the game. When it was cold, when it was raining. When I was getting off at 2:30 and I would go pick up Chris. I would pick him up too. I would tell Chris, if it was real, real cold, in the morning, I would say, when Chris got ready to go to school, I said, hey, when you go to school, I said, you know, let Leonard know that when I come pick you up, I'm going to take him home. He lives literally maybe 10 minutes away from us. Because he lives right around the corner from my best girlfriend who was on the live the other night. So they literally, he lives around the corner from my friend. 5 minutes, 10 minutes away. And he's like, oh, you'll take him home? I said, yeah, let him know I'll take him home. And he would call his grandmother and tell his grandmother, Miss Cotton is going to take me home. She would be in the background. Okay, thank you. I know she's struggling financially. And she can't always be there to pick him up. She pick him up sometime. Most of the time, he on the bus. Most of the time, he is on the bus. And how you Christopher's best friend, and I let you get on the bus and it's freezing cold? I'll let you get on the bus and it's pouring down raining. I couldn't do that. He walk out with Chris and they get in the car and I take him home. He called his grandmother and let his grandmother know he in the car with me. When it was Christopher's birthday and I was taking them all out, I said, Leonard, let me talk to your grandmother so I can tell her what's going on. Where you gonna be Saturday? I let her know because she had to work. She said, well, I can't. I said, that's okay. Even when I was at the apartment, he still didn't live that far from us. I said, that's okay. I said, I'll pick him up and bring him home. Oh, you will? Yeah, no problem. Now all of a sudden, y'all are not friends because, oh, glad he didn't come over here. That's the one who want to kiss you all the time. Nice, Gavin. I don't want no kiss. The last time he hugged me, I purposely turned my head. So, you know, like I said, I would not leave this young man out in the cold and the rain, and I'm going that way. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. Even if he lived further away, from us, I still would take him home. Now my mama ain't gonna do that, but I do it, you know. I don't get it. So, you know, I just want them to leave my child alone. That's all I want. They're not friends no more. Everybody going about their business. Everybody going about their way. You go your way, let him go his way. And that's it. He said, well, Chris said, I totally ignore him when I see him at school. I said, as you should. I said, why would you continue to talk to somebody who told you and showed you that they don't want to be bothered with you no more? He said, I don't say nothing to him. He said, I don't say nothing to his girlfriend. He said, I don't say nothing to neither one of them. He said, because before we would all be in the cafeteria. I guess they all had lunch together at the same time. He said, we would all be in the cafeteria, me, him, and her. He said, we be joking and playing and everything. He said, I don't say nothing to none of them. He said, I don't say nothing to him at all. And I had told Chris this long time ago. I said, you have got to have more friends than just him. I told him that. I said, you can't just be his friend and not have other friends. He said, well, he the only one that I said, I get it. He the only one that you really, really, truly trust. I said, but I said, and it's nothing wrong with that. Oh. Oh boy, it's about to be a war. See, parking in this former spot. I don't even know who that is. I don't know who that person is. But anyway, I told him, I said, you got to have more friends. I said, I get it that I get it that he's the only one that you really trust. But look at the person that you really, really trusted. You know what I'm saying? Look what he did. But at the Lord, he's the nicest man. He is the one who hopefully I edit this out. I'm gonna edit this out. But he is the guy who gave me a hubcap for my car. That's him. And he's been telling me that he wants to, him and the other guy that work in the machine shop, he was telling me that he wants to take me out to dinner for my birthday. We was trying to do it, but it didn't work out or something. Everybody's schedule was kind of off or whatever. But he's very nice. He's lost a lot of weight because he's a diabetic, and you know, he was told he needs to lose weight. But he's very nice. He just can talk. Ooh, child, he can talk. So hopefully I'm gonna edit that out. But what was I saying? Oh, but so yeah, so I just was saying, you know, I'm just really disappointed. I'm just really, really, really disappointed in him. And at this point, like I said, I just want them to leave him alone. You know, more than anything. Just leave him alone. Go on about your business. Just go on about your business. So that's why I told Chris, you know, and it's true. You cannot put all your eggs in one basket, and that goes along with people as well. You just cannot. So I'm going to read our affirmation for today, and then I'm going to let you all go. I do plan to come live later on this evening. It just depends on how I feel. We'll see. So let's read out of the book's Acts of Faith for February 18th. Don't let anyone steal your spirit. Sinbad. And today's reading is, there are times when we find ourselves at odds with someone. These always hit on point. Talking about Chris and his friend. It may seem that our only choices are to get caught up in the situation or walk away. The ego tells us we must prove we are right. If we walk away, the other person will win. The ego keeps us from recognizing there is another choice. Whatever situation confronts us, we must recognize our rights to be at peace. The need to be right and meet discord head on begins within. It is a need that stems from feelings of powerless, I can't say that word, y'all. Unworthiness and a lack of love. It shows up in life as arguments and confrontation. When we have peace in our hearts and minds, we draw peace unto our lives. When discord and disharmony present themselves, we can stand firm. When we let go of the need to prove to ourselves, nothing and no one can disturb the quiet and peace of our minds. I am rightfully peaceful. And let me say this. I read Meadow Shrub's comment on my video about you should be able to tell vent to your partner. Listen here, Meadow. This is for you. In a perfect world where you have somebody that you can do that with, that's the way it should be. But that is not how it is. Okay? That's just not how it is. It's just not. And I'm going to keep saying this to women. You cannot let a man, and I'm going to say this, and everybody has their own opinion. You have to find other ways to communicate with a man without telling him what's going on with you. For the most part, men don't give a fuck. They do not. I'm just telling you. That's why you need to have a girlfriend, your mama, your sister, whomever. Because men, for the most part, do not care. You can vent to your partner or whatever, but most men don't even talk that much or even want to be bothered with that. I'm going to say it again. The more you tell a man your stuff, the more a man will hold that and use that against you. Now, you can listen to Meadow if you want to. But I'm telling you, the difference between Meadow and me is that I've lived a lot longer than Meadow. I've had more relationships than Meadow. And this is no shade to Meadow, because I understood what he was saying. But you talking about 56 and you talking about 22. Big difference. And the longer Meadow lives, the more he will understand what I'm talking about. See, when I was 22, I felt like that. I thought like that. My mother used to always say, you are so idealistic. I still am in a lot of ways. You have got to know when to talk to a man about things and when to shut up and not say anything. Then to your girlfriends, not your man. You tell your girlfriends your stuff, not your man. You talk to your man about everyday life things that's happening in the world, not about how you truly feel. Men really, 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 really don't want to talk to you about how you really feel. Men for the most part most men, and this is sad to say, but this is the truth. Most men have no idea how to be a comfort for a woman. They have no clue. I'm not saying that there are not men who don't know how. I'm not saying that there are not men that don't do it. But for the most part, men do not know how to be that for you. And if you are looking for that in a man and you think you're going to get that, and when you don't get it, you disappointed. You say, he wouldn't even let. I'm telling you. You can go on and listen to that about vent to him, and you should be able to vent to him and all of this and all that. I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you this. I don't really want to know. I don't have a problem with my man venting to me, but I don't want to know. I don't want to be on the phone with you for hours. I don't want to be talking to you about shit over and over again. I don't. At some point, enough is enough. If somebody died in your family, if there's something going on with you medically, if there's something else going on with you, I'm willing to help you and willing to help you get through it. But after a while, it's a lot of people that text me throughout the day about this, that, and the other. I do not answer. Because I'm going to give you a perfect example. If I ask you how your day is going and you say to me, well, I'm going through something right now, but I'd rather not talk about it. First of all, you didn't even have to say that to me. See, why bring that up? And now I'm concerned about what's going on with you when you really could have just not said anything. So now I can't ask you about it. We can't talk about it because you'd rather not talk about it. I didn't ask you about that. I hate when people do that. Well, I'd rather not talk about it. I asked you how you were doing, how are you doing? You come telling me that you got a problem. I didn't ask you about a problem. And if you're not willing to talk about the problem, why bring it up? I didn't even have to know you had a problem. But I learned that with dealing with my ex-friend. One time I got ready to tell him something that happened at work. He cut me off. He said, and my feelings was hurt. But you know what? I learned. He said, vent to, he said, that stuff you talk to your girlfriends about. He said, don't vent to me. He was just bold enough to say it. But most men feel like that. They just ain't going to tell you that. They just not going to come out and tell you that. That's why a lot of times when you talking to men about this, that, and the other, and you be like, he didn't even bring it up, or he didn't, because a lot of times they not even fucking listening. They're not listening. So let me give you a little advice, Meadow. When you get in a relationship with somebody, when you get in a relationship with somebody, nobody wants you to keep going on and 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 on about the same thing. Eventually, people just stop listening. That's not to say that you cannot share, but you got to be particularly careful about what you share and how you share it. Because after a while, people get to the point where they like, they'll stop answering you. They'll stop answering. And that's just a fact. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do or that it won't hurt your feelings. But see, until you get into a relationship with a person, you're going to understand a lot of things that I've said to you and I've told you when you and I talk on the phone. You haven't had that experience yet. But wait until you have that experience. You're probably going to feel like she's insensitive, which most people are. You're probably going to feel like, well, Dad, I was talking to her and, she didn't answer me back or whatever, because people don't want to deal with other people's problems. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Even when you're in a relationship, I'm going to tell you what I cannot stand with a man is to be in a relationship with a man and he's always whining and crying and whining and crying. That gets on my fucking nerve. If you sick and you need me, I'm going to be there for you. If you're going through having an issue, I'm going to be there for you. If you can't figure something out, I'm going to figure it out with you. But if you keep going on and on about the same thing, I can understand if your mother died, your father died, your uncle died, something tragic happened, and you depressed, and you feeling really horrible, and you've been down, and you feeling down. And it might go on for a while. I get that. But if every time I look around, you whining and you crying about stuff that just don't make no sense, or stuff that is just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when the day ends, everybody got a fucking problem. Everybody got a problem. So I understood what you said, and I agree with you, but I disagree with you too. Just like you said you agree and you disagree with me. But I'm just going to say this. All you young people that's on this, that watch this channel, live a little bit longer. And you will find out that most people do not give a fuck. They don't care about your problems. You know why? It's not that they being insensitive, because they got a bunch of fucking problems. They can't help you with your problem because they got a bunch of fucking problems. When you in a relationship with a person, when I'm in a relationship with a person and I see you at the end of my work day, I want to have come home to a happy place. Not come home to somebody moody. Not come home to somebody who whining and crying about the same thing. Not come home to somebody who, you know, let me tell you what happened today. I get it. We all talk about things that happen on our job or things that happen throughout the day. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with even venting. But you have to be selective. There's things that I would never share with my mate that I would share with my girlfriend. I said it on the live and I'm going to say it again. Even when you get married, nobody should have all of you. There has to be some parts of you that are for you. You give everybody everything about you. What do you have left of you? I've said this 1,000 times. You can be in a relationship and have the greatest relationship with a person, but too much togetherness is not always a good thing. Listen here. I need to go have some me time. You go have you some you time. Because if you give me some me time, I'm a better me. I'm better for you. If you give me some me time, I'm going to be better for you. But if you crowd me, and maybe it's the Aquarius in me. Maybe because at some point, some parts of me, I am a loner. I am. I love to be people, and I love to be around people, and I love to have a good time with people. But then after a while, I'm like, my girlfriend was talking about this the other day when I went over to her house. She said, sometimes, I just go nonverbal. I understand that. Because sometimes you got to take some time for you. Sometimes you can't vent to your partner, your spouse, about everything. You can be close, you can talk, you all can sit up and talk about this, that, and the other. Y'all can talk about things that happened in the past. Y'all can sit up and talk about things that bother you. You can sit up and talk about that. But I'm not telling a man everything. I'm not. This is a whole nother subject. And I've said this and I'm going to say this again. You don't need to have the phone code to my phone. You don't need to know all my business, even if I'm married to you. And this is why I know that I don't want to get married, because I don't want to lose me in somebody else. I've done that. And every man that I've ever shared this, that, or the other with, they ain't never did a motherfucking thing to help me. All they did was took everything I said and turned it around and twisted it around. If I told them I suffer from depression, or wait till y'all fall out. Oh, that's why your ass suffer from depression. You crazy. I had a guy do that to me. Told him things. You know what he did? He went and told everybody that I was bipolar. So, Meadow, I'm gonna tell you this. When you get with a young lady, you better keep some things to yourself. Because the minute you all get into an argument and things go left, and they will, she will throw that shit back up in your face. Nobody needs to know everything. Nobody. Find somewhere else to vent. Not to that person. I'm just saying. Today's reading from the book of Be Strong and Know, February 18th. On level ground, Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. May your good spirit lead me on level ground. Psalms 143, chapter 143, verse 10. Just because you love God doesn't mean you will always know what to do or how to live. This is why it is important to rely on the wisdom and guidance of the Holy Spirit. If you trust Him, He will be faithful to teach you His will. And the question is, how are you learning God's will? Be still and know. All right, y'all, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to go edit this video, and I will see you all tomorrow, Throwback Thursday. Okay? Have a good and peaceful day, and hopefully I'll see you later on the live stream. Okay? All right. Peace.